Hello everyone, Ray here. So I've been daily driving the S8 Plus for about a week's time. I should be qualified to give it a full review. Anyway, all we know, it packs a really gorgeous display and a fantastic futuristic all-screen design. But other than that, is there any improvement on the camera and the software over the S7 Edge? Let's have a look. Metal and glass design is nothing new, but for the first time ever is playing a major role in 2017, and how massive the 6.2 inches S8 Plus actually is. Surprisingly, just slightly wider and a few millimeters longer than the G6, but is way more compact than the U Ultra. They literally used every single inch of the chassis. Fantastic use of space. Put it right on top of the U Ultra whether you like the curved metal and glass design or not. We really have to give Samsung some applause for their achievement in minimizing the bezels. Design-wise, again, for the first time in recent years, Samsung's given their latest flagship an all-black stealthy and tacky look. If you pick up a black one, it simply looks incredibly futuristic and sleek at a glance, probably due to the clean and minimalist black panel on the front. On the back, the fingerprint sensor right next to the camera sensor is actually not all that bad. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a loyal Samsung fan by any means, but just imagine an awkward circle cutout right below the rectangular camera lens. In the design perspective, I appreciate their balanced and less awkward implementation of the fingerprint sensor. Oh, of course, it would be fantastic if they've managed to put it right under the screen, but we are still not there yet. And here's, finally, a camera lens that doesn't protrude. It stays rock stable on flat surfaces. Anyway, other than the all-screen design, the level of craftsmanship is also impressive, simply the best we can get. Not only do the metal frame meet the glass panels seamlessly smooth, without any sort of plastic cushioning frame in between, but also curves to complete the glass loop. Meanwhile, the symmetrical design we've found on the Note 7 is here as well. It definitely sits way more comfortably in hands compared to the S7 Edge. And don't forget the glossy finished metal frame. Instead of giving us an extra cool metal texture, it actually joins the rest of the chassis and gives us an all-glass-like texture in hands. It is absolutely the most gorgeous and delicate mainstream phone we can buy. Yes, delicate, so keep in mind that glass could be fragile in some cases, and the glossy aluminum frame could be prone to scratches. To be honest, the only minor flaw of the design might be just the lack of a symmetrical design on the bottom. Is it really a must to put the USB port way below the horizontal line? And surprisingly, the tiny gap between the glass panels and the metal frame traps dust way more easily than I've expected. It's not gonna affect dust resistance of the phone, cause with those adhesive inside to make it IP68 water and dust resistant. Yep, IP68. The hardware. The one we have here packs 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, while the UK variant here supports only single SIM, but identical to all other variants, it does support microSD expansion. LED notification light is also a must, NFC as well. So goodbye to the bulky and old-fashioned wallet. Good. Oh, and fast wireless charging. On the bottom side, thankfully we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB Type-C port that supports USB on the go as usual, a single down-firing speaker, which is a shame. And this is how the microphones sounds like on the S8 Plus. They do support stereo recording, amazing, left channel and the right channel. On the back, you're right, it is indeed the worst possible position they could have thought of, and is right next to the similarly shaped camera lens. While the fingerprint sensor itself is also not the fastest on earth, if you've tried the one on the Huawei P10. Now, under the screen lock settings, there we have 5 other methods to just unlock the screen. Iris scanning would be the safest and fastest of all, while activating the Unlock with Home button shortcut under Navigation bar settings. It will basically start to search your irises once you have pressed the pressure-sensitive Home button. The Iris Unlock when screen turns on option under the Iris Scanner settings also allows instant Iris Unlock after you've wicked the phone up, much more user-friendly than the Note 7. Great, still face detection would be easier for people who wear glasses, but unfortunately it doesn't work that well in dark environment, and when it comes to security, not even come close to iris scanning. So at the end of the day, touching the fingerprint sensor and leaving some smudges around the camera lens is inevitable. What a shame. Performance and features. First of all, the new Samsung Experience user interface is based on Android 7.0, a little disappointment here for not getting the latest build of Android. But anyway, it does carry some of the features from stock Android Nougat. The most obvious one would be the slidable app drawer. The classic dedicated app drawer button can still be activated under home screen settings. But then we have the one-hand friendly notification shade sliding gesture embedded in the fingerprint sensor. Multi-window is also a must, especially on such a massive phone. It's also got a few more features than stock Android. While the extra tall 18.5 by 9 screen simply lifts the experience to another level, with a keyboard hanging around. But time to check out Samsung's in-house features. As flagship phones are getting bigger and bigger, Google should have also added this exceptionally one-hand friendly operation mode to stock Android and for everyone. Edge display functionality though is more or less the same as the S7 Edge. Favorite apps switching could be handy, but my favorite feature is definitely the Smart Select panel. Partial screen capture is now basically just under your fingertips, instead of stretching your hand to hit the power and the volume down button. Then choose partial screen capture on the menu. Screen recording is also an inspiring feature. It saves videos in GIF images. Scroll capture is also almost exclusive to Samsung's latest offers. Tools like the compass, ruler and the torch are also handy, but not necessarily must-have shortcuts. But in the software game, Samsung's once again put as many features as they can on the S8 Plus. We can not only mute the game, put the phone into Do Not Disturb mode during gameplay, but also switch between different performance or battery saving modes. And for those who are worrying about the read screen ratio on the S8, the Game Center offers one-click full screen or black bars mode switching shortcut. Even the pressure-sensitive key can also be disabled during gameplay. Imagine you are now playing Dynasty Warriors and tapping the screen so hard. Disabling the home button might save your life. But for me, I still prefer the direct one-click home button. And last but certainly not least, gameplay recordings once again here on the S8. Anyway, there are 3 performance modes in Game Launcher, but a few more under battery management settings. But this time around is for the whole system, as the S8 Plus comes with 1080p display mode by default. They have actually included a dedicated entertainment or performance mode that boosts the resolution to the native WQHD Plus, with all the video enhancement, audio upscaling things activated, just with one click, and it also boosts the screen brightness by 10%. So here's the question, will it actually affect the battery life? Bear with me and we'll check it out later on, in the battery life testing section. And just before we check out the performance of the S8, let's talk about Bixby. I'm not a big fan for sure, but Samsung's given the S8 a dedicated button. It's actually not all that bad, but for now it's nothing special compared to Google Now. Bixby Vision, however, is absolutely a futuristic and smart idea. But again, not for now. It doesn't show any suggestion for shopping, at least in the UK. It has a bright future and I'll definitely test that out once it's fully functional. Okay, the latest and greatest Exynos 8895 or the Snapdragon 835, with 4GB of RAM, according to the standard apps opening speed test, launching the same list of apps. The S8 Plus actually finished even slower than the Note 7. Still a couple of seconds faster than the S7 Edge, but generally speaking is 2016 flagship performance. Now, probably the most interesting finding in this review, the S8 Plus failed to keep even a single app in memory in the second round of the test. Yep, the test is harsh, having 8 apps running on the background, including 3 memory-hungry large 3D games. But the S7 Edge, Note 7, Basically, most phones with high-end configurations had no issue keeping them in memories. Multitasking on the S8 Plus is kind of disappointing. It could be something to do with Bixby, taking up extra memories, or maybe it's Samsung's experience skin, or it could be also related to Samsung's aggressive power efficiency approach, killing all the apps on the background and try to deliver better battery life. Who knows? But hopefully they will fix it in the near future. Software problem for sure. Or you can simply get the 6GB RAM Monster Edition. It might have disappointed some of us in the test, but in day-to-day media consumption, both gaming and Facebook surfing wouldn't be a problem on this guy. Speaking of gaming, the new 20-core Mali G71 GPU is insane. A whole 12 cores more than the one on the P10. It basically drives every single game silky smooth. And yes, gaming on this massive Infinity Edge display is breathtaking. Overall, the S8 Plus is incredibly features-packed. Day-to-day navigation is what you've expected from a flagship phone. Gaming experience slightly smoother compared to its predecessor, but RAM management is simply disappointing. Not a fatal hardware issue though. Still, performance and features wouldn't be the biggest reason for us to break our banks. The camera is another controversial part. Samsung didn't focus on the camera this time around, and on papers is even identical to last year's model, with a 12 megapixels sensor with optical image stabilization and dual pixel technology. However, they did actually upgraded the camera module silently. You might be lucky enough to get one that ships with an IMX333 sensor from Sony. The one here, however, is Samsung based. You will be still thrilled by its performance anyways, more on that in a second. Features-wise, however, expect the similar Samsung experience we've seen for a while. Slow motion's also there, the video quality is one of the best, but still, it maxed out at 240 FPS in 720p. Hyperlapse might be better though, it's got 1080p and again video's quality is better than most of its competitors even at night. Okay, back to the ordinary capturing mode. It shoots 4K 1080p at 60 FPS or 30. And most importantly, 4K recording finally supports both software and optical image stabilization. It shoots incredibly sharp and vivid, well-stabilized handheld videos. And yes, this review is exported in 1080p, so zoom. Not bad at all. The video quality is actually top-notch. Generally speaking, the camera on the S8 Plus gives amazing quality videos, and all kind of features that you'll need. Back to normal again, with the same f1.7 aperture, auto HDR and selfie flash. It shoots natural, well exposed, but not overexposed, sharp and clear selfies, with minimal digital noise in all situations. Time to check out the rear camera. During daytime, not much a difference. Still the Samsung style of oversaturation, green, blue and red. Basically every single color is boosted to make the images pop. Dynamic range is top-notch, with auto HDR support. Those exaggerated colors, trees, might be a deal-breaker for a tiny group of people. But for the majority, those colors are simply gorgeous. You will be amazed by those colors, especially on the also saturated AMOLED display on the S8 Plus. Now compare the S8 Plus to the Pixel XL, one of the best camera phones out there. Interestingly, the way they process the images is totally different. The Pixel gives generally greater contrast and slightly more well-defined layers, but the S8 Plus gives generally brighter images and exposes the shadows a little bit more. This time around, they captured the exact same amount of details, but the sunset looks slightly more intriguing on Pixel's shots. Macro shots, however, the wider f1.7 aperture on the S8 Plus, together with a slightly warmer tone, It actually gives the creamiest natural bokeh effect on any smartphones, excluding those artificial ones. Overall, under broad daylight, the S8 Plus processes the images totally different from the Pixel, but it's a matter of style. They both give extraordinary dynamic range, clarity, and color saturation. Alright, low-light performance where the S8 Plus shines. On papers, there's no improvement over the S7 Edge at all, but in reality, the new sensor gives much sharper details and far better noise reduction. Again, despite the Pixel gave a brighter image overall, the S8 Plus delivered more saturated colors, with tons more details and countless less digital noise around the whole image. Simply because I couldn't actually find any of them. Amazing. This particular shot, the Pixel gave a slightly greenish-white balance, while the S8 Plus slightly on the reddish side. Colors depends on personal preference, but the fact is, the S8 Plus managed to clean up almost all the noise, while maintaining even more details than the Pixel. This time around, the Pixel gave a slightly more accurate white balance, also slightly high contrast. It does pop. But again, the S8 Plus has blown the Pixel away when it comes to noise and details performance. Another shot, this time around the Pixel gave a warm and greenish white balance, and again the S8 Plus is a bit on the reddish side, but once we zoom in, the f1.7 aperture together with optical image stabilization, the S8 Plus has once again set a new standard for smartphone photography. The S8 Plus basically shoots vibrant, crisp and clear, detailed images in all situations. The cameras on both the front and the back are simply the best we can get. So we have the absolute best camera on a smartphone. The screen here is also fantastic. 83% screen-to-body ratio. Still, it might be more the design thing. The display itself, however, is also top-notch. Colors simply pop. With over 1000 nits of brightness, technically the screen is flawless. Yes, technically, this particular unit and my friend's orchid grey one seems to be fine. The U Ultra actually favors red even more than the S8. But then, if we take a closer look at the top edge and the two sides, yes, the problem does exist. Still, you might even not notice it if I don't mention it in the first place. And I also decided not to return it and get another one, even if I can, so not a huge deal. And for those who are excited to check out how the 18.5:9 screen behaves in reality, it actually shares a similar width to a conventional 16:9 5.7 inches display. But those extra pixels on the top and the bottom, it shows way more information on a single page. The weird screen ratio might cause compatibility issue though. If you watch YouTube a lot, you are either getting black bars or information cut. But that's one of the handful unlucky examples. Games including Dynasty Warriors, Need for Speed, Real Racing, all those games seems to be working fine. And trust me, you will be thrilled, and people around you will be like staring at you playing on almost just the screen. The single down-firing speaker, however, is truly disappointing. Still one of the better single speaker out there. Now, headphone audio quality. First of all, the AKG earbuds. It is truly an amazing pair of earphones, but only if it's compared to what they have last year. Bass is overwhelmingly strong, and the highs are also satisfactory. But if you consider buying the S8 simply because it includes an AKG earbuds inside the box, well, it's not an in-house AKG mid to high-end earphones at the end, not even close. Bass is rich, but not necessarily well defined. The highs, same thing here, not crystal clear. Audio output from the S8 itself, however, has shown marginal improvement over the S8. It gives slightly wider soundstage on my Xperia A3. But the LG G6 with a quad deck inside will get the job done far better. Overall, an exceptional, almost edge-to-edge infinity display. mainstream flagship single down-firing speaker and headphone audio quality. Here we've come to the battery life, one of the most essential parts of the review. The 3500 mAh battery on the S8 Plus actually shares the same size as the one on the Note 7, but Samsung's dialed back the screen resolution to 1080p by default. The question is, will it actually give better battery life? The answer is no, not at all. According to the first round of the battery life test, it performed exactly the same. After 4 hours of YouTube videos played back at maximum screen brightness, and surprisingly, the S8 Plus dropped from the top of the list to almost the bottom end from last year's model. But as the display on the S8 Plus is much brighter than its predecessor, over 1000 nits to be exact. So the second round of the tests based on 50% brightness. After an hour of YouTube videos playback, another hour Facebook surfing, and finally Clash Royale gameplay. Altogether 3 hours of media consumption, the S8 Plus survived with 59 and 60% left in Quad HD Plus and Full HD Plus modes respectively. Back to normal, and is actually better than the Pixel and the U Ultra. So limiting the display panel to 1080p will not actually give us better battery life at all. So why would they do that? That's a good question. The S8 Plus actually offers decent battery life and satisfactory quick charging technologies. But last year when the S7 came out, it has actually set a new standard for the industry. All in all, the S8 Plus is absolutely gorgeous, futuristic and low profile, sleek, mature, all at the same time. It is the absolute best built and well-designed phone in 2017 up to this point. It is also features-packed, with a camera that captures the night better than ever. Also amazing quality selfies and well-stabilized 4K videos. Oh, don't forget the gorgeous display. Still, it's not flawless and there are rooms for improvement. The fingerprint sensor, the worst possible position ever. The surprisingly unacceptable multitasking performance, which could be fixed via future updates. The single down-firing speaker and not leading battery life. Not perfect, but still a really promising, gorgeous piece of artwork. So that's it for today. Hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Like it if you liked it and don't forget to subscribe. There are also 2 more videos here for you to watch next. Stay tuned for the S8 Plus versus the LG G6 and more other flagships comparison. See you next time.